Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a talk video, and CG gave us some big news today. We are going to be getting a community update that is going to restructure a large part of the game. We're going to be getting these episode tracks divided up into eras, which are going to define how our year goes. That's going to impact the Marquee schedule, which is going to get more clearly defined, and then that's going to impact quests, other rewards, and there's a number of changes that will break down, and that is also paired with a smaller quality of life update where at last we get a bunch of simmable content. This was a huge post, but most of it is really details on this new system. They give us this long intro, but they don't really tell us much. The first important section is this improved scheduling where they talk about how the Marquees are going to work in relation to this system here. Moving forward, our year is going to be defined by eras. Eras are going to be a 3-month period consisting of month-long episodes, and each episode being 4 weeks. These episodes are going to be thematic to a unit released during the period, and there's always going to be one Marquee unit minimum released at the start of the episode, and sometimes there will be a second Marquee release. These eras are going to culminate in either a new event or a journey guide level unit, so you can think like these epic confrontation characters or a legendary character, or an event, maybe a new assault battle. That's how I'm thinking about these for the moment. With this structure, that's going to divide up the year into 4 eras with 12 episodes that will leave time during the holidays for a 13th episode, during which there will be no Marquee release. And overall, this kind of sounds like a big change, but really this roughly maps onto our current releases, at least of the past 3 years or so, pretty closely, just with more consistency. We're not going to have those gaps in the schedule where maybe a month or two we don't get anything, and then we might get a month where there's a bunch of heavy releases like we're seeing right now. And I think with the release that we saw, with the Punishing One being converted from a Galactic Chase over to a Marquee release, that is probably a sign for how we're going to be looking at ships moving forward. They're going to be tied into this system as well. Now for me, with how I play, I think this is going to be pretty good. It does mean though that we're all going to need to stay on top of our farms, because otherwise we might fall behind. It's going to make it a little bit more important to be consistent as long as these releases are being on schedule, because CG did say that we aren't always going to get a Marquee release every 2 weeks. It's just, it could happen within the structure. I would also say, has always been my advice here, always go for the new content, always prioritizing the newest and latest farms over older farms. That is probably going to be more important under the structure with how these quests are going to work. Having that content might become even more important as it is right now. It was already important with Conquest, how having access to those new characters gave you access to easier feats and more progress on feats, but this is just another game mode folded into it where having access to those characters may be pretty critical. This next portion here gives us a first look at the 2 upcoming eras. This first one, launch era, the era of apprentices. This is going to tie into the Ahsoka show and GL Ahsoka. We can assume at least one of these Marquee releases is going to be a requirement for her, but maybe both of them. Hu Yang is up first, followed by General Syndulla 2 weeks after, and this is all beginning next week. CG also gave us official notice that GL Ahsoka is going to be arriving during episode 2, which means in a month. Each episode again is a 4-week period. The first full era, which should be arriving in the new year, we're going to be getting Bad Batch related content, including a new Bad Batch squad, which means I'm going to need to finish season 3 of that show. I liked it. I just kind of fell off. I think maybe it coincided with Fallout, and I dropped everything when Fallout came out. Or maybe it was Shogun. Whichever it was, I got to finish it like I'm trying to finish Ahsoka right now. That show does not leave me a lot of motivation. But we are also going to get a few other Marquee releases, or a couple other Marquee releases related to Bad Batch Season 3. They do say it will be related to the Mercenary tag. I'm hoping that means we're going to be getting a new version of Ahsoka, like a bounty hunter Ahsoka. This Conquest GL's portion, there's nothing important here. Sometimes they may line up with the themes, sometimes not. And in regards to Galactic Legends, that's still being worked out. So this is more pending information. But this dailies portion here and everything that follows, we're going to get into a little bit more of the meat of how these episodes are going to function. Dailies are going to be folded into this system. We can see from this screenshot that one of those rewards is going to be pretty meaningful, and that is energy. That's not something that we were getting before. These feats are also going to pay out episode points, and those are going to credit towards a prize box. Overall, I think this is an improvement. Mod and ship energy are going to count towards raids now, and that's going to just mean we're going to fill up those tickets faster, and this system I think is going to encourage a little bit more participation. So guildmates should be completing this information a little bit more consistently. The prize box still paying out the crystals, still paying out the Kairos. We are getting some of these extra episode points to make progress, but otherwise it looks fairly similar. I didn't break it down specifically. I think it's close enough. Here we get a look at what our new structure of daily quests are. It's a little bit more streamlined. You can see, for instance, it's only complete one squad arena or fleet arena battle, so that's one less battle. And we also see all that energy is consolidated here instead of being separate energy and separate battles for each of those modes. Now, as a free-to-play player, these passes, they don't really interest me, but we can see the pass is going to grant access to a meaningful amount of shards, and when we scroll down a little bit here, it's also going to give out Omicrons, a pretty meaningful amount of Omicrons and these droid brains. And as we will see later that these shards are going to tie into other feats and quests, this could turn out to be very meaningful. I do think just on the rewards, it'll probably be a good investment for those players who are so inclined to get these types of passes. They do say it's going to save time, but I think the players who are serious enough to purchase a pass like this spend so much time in game that the time savings is probably pretty moot. But also pay attention to this over time. CG tends to make tweaks to these kinds of things when we have new pieces of content, so the value may adjust. And check back in a week. We'll break this down a little bit further from a free-to-play perspective once it goes live. We're going to try and do these next several sections pretty quickly. The information is important, but pretty thin. We're getting a new store. It refreshes once a week. There will be a value cap of 30K on it, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty easy for us to accumulate this currency, and they're going to be encouraging us to spend it. Amis, mods, character shards, those are going to be available. We can see some Gear 12 Plus pieces. Right now, the only resources I care about are Omicrons and signal data. So I'll look out to see if signal data is within here. I really think we need more ways to obtain it. I'm holding out hope it's going to appear. With character shards, if they're related, even with a slight delay of like a month to those Marquee releases, to the new Marquee releases, that I'll be interested in. If it's just older characters who are already accelerated, I don't care. But for the rest of you who are still have a lot of active farms, depending on the income that we're getting here, maybe it'll be a good star to boost some farms. With these episodes, we're going to have 28 quests. Each day, a new quest is going to be revealed. Each quest will be divided up into chapters of 7 quests. That's going to lead up to a bigger reward. For the most part, there's going to be a lot of flexibility here with the timing of how you complete them, how you approach them, but there will be some time-sensitive ones like territory wars, but that might actually be good because it might encourage some guild participation. Although a downside too, where the lesser participants might cause some preloaded turn meter or something in territory wars because of this. With the character quest, this is going to support the Marquee releases, and there's going to be some contingencies with the number of shards on the character. It's going to be similar in structure to the quests, the episode quests, and we're going to be seeing that we'll be able to do the majority of this as we do the Marquee event. With the journey quests, this is not as important. This relates back to the older title update. This is going to get folded into this new system with like these pre-level 85 quests or some of the post-level 85 quests. For most of us, it's not going to apply. Same deal here with these prestigious achievements. There might be a couple other things thrown in here, but for the most part, it looks like those prestigious quests, they're going to be folded into this location within the system. But for something that does matter, the quality of life with the simming of events, this is pretty huge. This has been being clamored for over on the Reddit for a while now. Big relief, especially with the ultimate journey for the Galactic Legends. That's a major pain. Smuggler's Run 2, I hate it. Same with the Endor escalation with the Leia tier. Those are things that just are big time sucks. I even missed, I think, an Endor escalation where I just kept putting it off later in the day until the event was gone and I forgot about it. I'm happy that we'll be able to sim these. Notably absent here though, capital ships, we won't be able to sim those. I'm hoping that down the line they can add something where if you have a 7-star capital ship, you can sim it. But that might require more coding, so maybe next year CG will give it to us. I really want it because there's a number of those fleets where you can't auto. This here for the Marquee events, it's a new user interface. This they're calling a quality of life update. I don't think it's a quality of life update. I actually am a little bit more annoyed by this. I want to have as much information crammed on the screen at once, and in a sense they are doing that where you can see the requirements, you can see the rewards, but who really cares? What I want is to be able to see as many tiers as possible on screen so that I just need to minimize the clicks or the scrolling, and this is increasing the amount of scrolling, and that to me is bad. This thing here I don't even want to acknowledge, because if you're watching this channel, this doesn't apply to you because we're at a level of craziness where we're accomplishing our guild activities without a problem. This isn't for us. Now, Galactic Challenges, these are going to be folded into this system as well. This, I think, is both good and bad. I've been getting pretty lazy about Galactic Challenges. I don't like them. It's my most hated game mode. I get Gold Crate or Red Crate if it's easy. Gold Crate, I'm pretty satisfied with. And a lot of times, I'll just do one attempt, get whatever I get. As long as I have 2 armies, then I'm just forgetting about it. This likely means that I can't be as lazy about this game mode. They do have a line in here though that they are looking to reduce the time required to participate. That I really hope is going to be true because I don't want to do this thing. I want it to just be gone. This was the darkest time in the game when they introduced this. Like, this is when, like, Urs quit. Or, I mean, he's back now, but this is what got him to quit. They also mentioned that there's a slight adjustment on the cadence and it's like moving a day. It's fine, whatever. They do also show us the first set of feats for the next Galactic Challenge that'll be arriving next week. They are showing that the Marquee release of Huyang is going to be related to this, where we're with a free-to-play Huyang, we'll be able to do some of the tiers, but not all of them. I think it's fine. The loyalty program for Kessel Run, this is going to be on the web store. They are saying it's going to eventually come to the PC client. This is going to pay out coaxium, and there are going to be milestones that can be achieved called parsecs, and that's going to equal in-game rewards. They do say this is going to work for both free-to-play and pay-to-play players. The way that I'm thinking about it is you'll be able to much more quickly get to those in-game rewards if you're pay-to-play. I think you'll do certain actions, you'll accumulate that coaxium, but the coaxium is going to be a lot harder to come by free-to-play. Overall, what I'm seeing here is a lot of streamlining, an improvement in the time that individual actions take, but with that new carrot, that may negate some of the time savings where we're going to be encouraged to participate a little bit more with this slow drip of rewards that's going to be pushing engagement. I think the first week a lot of us are going to go a little bit crazy exploring this new mode, but we may find that over time nothing different's really going to be happening, so that we'll be able to pull back and still gain the same results if we were highly engaged. At least that's my hope. But check back next week where we will break this down a little bit more in detail when it goes live. Next week we will also have Huyang's kit reveal. That we will definitely be getting to. We're going to try and get back into the normal routine here. We weren't able to do Padawan Sabine's kit reveal last week because we were traveling, but we're back now. I want to be getting this channel to that space that I want to be at. So thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.